short span of time.
Honestly, these chairs are just a bit too high. I have no office chairs have to be this height. Or is it? I haven't had occasion to use this thing.
Oops. Someone forgot to mute myself, sorry.
Wait, is there a video on right now? Okay. It's all the way back there. It's kind of why I do want to. You know what's sad? The last metal and metal like club thing. It's right now during the and I can't go.
Got both people on. It's not been too bad considering.
So that's good. Better than we're watching that.
Oh yeah, by far.
Four, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello everyone! Welcome back to Furality Sylva. We are joined here at the VR Content Creator panel with the wonderful PHIA and Thrillseeker. Please introduce yourselves.
I'm Fia. Usually online I go by Fia Bunny, so in the spirit of Furality, I dropped the Fia, and today I'm just a bunny, decked out in my Sylva gear. I'm super excited to be here. I have been making VR content for over 3 years now, and recently I actually made a video about Furality Luma Festival just a few months ago, and so I'm a strong supporter of Furality and the VR community as a whole, and I'm super happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Thrill. I obviously made the channel Thrillseekers, and yeah, so basically I just cover everything VR, XR really, and you know, whether it's news or cool hardware or just anything cool that I think is awesome, I'm pretty much gonna make a video about it. But yeah, so hi.
And I am Sora the Psych. The
guest relations director and one of the events coordinator for Furality, Sylva.
Oh, I never introduced myself. I'm Demi. I'm also events coordinator. Hello. Also, thank you so much for both being here. I just want to make it known to everyone that Thrill and Fia are a bit under the weather, so please bear with us if they experience any issues. But it's amazing to have you both here. We got your little stool for you.
Yeah, I got my baby chair since I'm so tiny.
It's okay. Hey, it's cute, tiny.
Yeah.
So, to kick off, and aside from like just a bunch of the recent headset announcements that has everybody insanely excited, Thrill, what have you been cooking up that you're able to talk about?
Yeah, for sure. Basically, most of the stuff that I've been held under wraps, like big screen in particular, most of that's all announced now. It's all past NDA, everything. So I'd say like right now is a really interesting place because I remember whenever I first started making content, it was a very valid question whenever somebody had like a low budget or like a mid-range budget. The question was always like, what headset should I buy? And like that was a very nuanced question most of the time. And kind of since the Quest 2, that hasn't been a very nuanced answer. It's just been like, well, if you don't have a lot of money, just buy a Quest 2 or maybe an Index. But now, across so many budgets, especially with Quest 3, Big Screen Beyond and Index is still relevant, and Quest 2 is still going to be sold. Like, there's so many options right now, and so on my side, I'm just mostly a PC VR user. I'm lucky to have a PC and also be at home most of the time to use it. So I'm just really, really excited about Big Screen Beyond. I've been using the headset quite a bit, and they just announced wider field of view as well, so that's pretty awesome.
I saw that 102.
Right.
My swimming goggles have now expanded.
No, totally, yeah. Yeah, it's actually kind of shocking to me that it's pretty likely that the Big Screen Beyond, which I don't know how they ended up doing that because I tested the same basic optics for quite a while, for like 2 years almost, and then out of nowhere within 6 months they're like, oh hey, we managed to squeeze some extra things out. So it's pretty crazy that it's probably going to have a wider field of view than even like the Quest 3, for example, more than likely. So yeah. And like the rest of us are like sitting here like, okay, the Quest 3 is out, the big screen is out, and they have an updated version. Valve, this is 2, not 3. I know you can do it. I know you can do this.
Come on, Valve.
I know, right? Yeah, Valve's a very careful company, and I'm sure that they have something that's quite amazing up their sleeves, and I've talked to quite a few people that say that they've tested or they've been a part of testing or something like that. Obviously, they can't give any details at all.
Naturally.
I mean, I can imagine Valve's headset's going to be pretty awesome. But right now, it's kind of this weird situation where it's like, especially if you don't have a headset, you're better off just picking something and getting yourself in now so that you're using it, right? You're like getting used to what VR is. But yeah, I mean, I have a feeling that they're going to be pushing towards like a more paradigm shift type headset rather than a marginal upgrade,
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really part and parcel for how Valve operates. Like, even with Half-Life Alyx, like even like all their mainline games, they always release it with like something that just pushes the entire industry in like a direction.
Yeah, totally, and I think about what Valve did for PC gaming with the Steam Deck recently. I've actually been using the Steam Deck quite a bit, the past few months, and it's playing like very simple games, but games that like I would have never played if I didn't have a Steam Deck. And I really have a feeling, especially from like the little rumors that I've heard, and obviously all of Brad's leaks and stuff. They're probably gonna do for PC VR what the Steam Deck does for PC gaming.
That just thinking about it, it's like The
Right.
first time that I actually fully got into VR was like the day that I went to go see Ready Player One was the day that I installed VR chat, and I'm like, oh my god, like I have actual arms. I'm not just a floating head, and that was
Right.
huge moment for me. And now it's like, oh god, we're actually getting even closer to that. I'm very excited.
Totally. Oh yeah, for sure.
But Fia, what have you been working on recently?
Yeah, so I've had a very interesting past couple months, especially the month of May. If you don't know, I recently re-debuted my FIA 2.0 look, as much as I wish it was the FIA Furry, unfortunately. There is a whole nother model. And
Not yet.
That's been very nerve-wracking. Yeah, well, I could switch all my content to free content. I'm sure everybody watching would be happy with that. But that's been a really exciting thing because there's been a whole new birth of the virtual reality show, which is my channel. If you don't know, I host the virtual reality show. And within the virtual reality show, I've always loved making content about different communities and different technologies and kind of the overall culture and phenomena of things that happen in VR that don't really get talked about or shown to people outside of our VR bubble. And what I've recently expanded into doing over the past half year or so is create my very own virtual reality studio where we host live events every single month. And those have really been taking off and being just such a highlight of my own VR journey that I'm really proud of. And, we've hosted a film fest, a talent showcase, we've done interviews, we're about to hold a comedy night with Project Community and Fail to Render, and there's such a long list of amazing things that are happening within the community that I've built here, and it's kind of been my main focus as of lately. But now that the re-debut is out and the studio has been really growing and challenging the whole staff team, including myself, which has been really fun. I think definitely I'm ready to start taking my videos and content to the next level too. So it's been a very busy last few months in the world of FIA per se.
It's almost like creating like your own like television channel and network. It sounds like.
Exactly, that's the goal. Is I really want to frontier and lead what virtual reality entertainment is, because it is something that's so completely unexplored right now, and not a lot of people maybe have the ability or the initiative to take a bunch of steps. And so it's also really special to be here in a place like Furality, where you guys are also really innovating the space and really trailblazing what's possible in VR and social VR. So that is something that really draws me here, is how impressive the scale of what you're doing is, and I hope to continue down that same path with my own journey as well, even though it's still a pretty recent path.
And just earlier on in the show, we had a couple of different game shows. We had Countdown on Friday, and we had Hollywood Squares yesterday, and we have Whose Line today.
Whose Line, yes.
Fun game.
And in the same way, like they've just like been like, okay, let's see how this works, and it blew me away. That's like, this is studio production level stuff. Like, people in the audience are like vibing on it. Like, I cannot wait to see like what you can develop, what like you can grow it with this community. I'm insanely excited.
Yes, absolutely.
It's also just great that like through the you're talking about the VR studio essentially. You're able to explore a lot of different sub-communities in the VR community. Like, I mean, an example through your videos, you've already talked about Furality Luma Festival, which was an amazing mini event leading up to Sylva. But then you also, I remember seeing the video on the trans community, which I think both were really integral to me personally. It was really nice seeing that, and it's really cool to see. And it's really nice to see that you're exploring all these. Yeah, I've done that a bunch of times. It's really nice to see that you're exploring all these sub communities in the VR community, which is amazing.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I love sharing them. Thrill as well. We like to go explore and see as much as there is possible of what people are doing in VR. It's both of our loves, which is why we're here together, of course.
Yeah, totally. Exploring. I mean, it's really inspiring to see what people are doing, because like I think one of the big things that I was really excited about whenever I first got into VR, or like even before I got into VR, is I like imagined it as being this like, you know, crazy portal to other places, and I never really thought about it until after I was making content and after I was really exploring these different communities, that really the portal between places isn't so much the headset, it's the crazy things that people make. And, you know, just getting really ingrained in those communities has been one of the coolest things probably in my life, you know.
And we've actually like started moving on, making those like the barriers between the two worlds like actually start falling with some of the portal things that we've actually done at conventions, where people can go in and speak and interact and talk with the people in VR. You can both see each other and interact, and it's it's wild. Like the worlds are literally
MagFest had
trying
a
to
really
collide.
amazing portal system. MagFest was awesome. I know Shelter does it. Me, Tube, and Schism did one for Rift, and these portal events are really awesome. And you know what's crazy about them is that like the potential of it is so unexplored too. Like the bare minimum right now, which is amazing still, is like, you know, a virtual version of the con happening at the same time, or like event with a camera wall essentially on both sides. That's awesome, but like there's so much potential there. You know what I mean? Like there's so much that like that can be explored.
The moment that we get the whole like the mist hologram thing like really nailed down, it's like, okay, this is when it's gonna really start going on.
Oh man,
Right.
So
well, I was thinking about AWE. You know, we weren't able to attend this year, and this is actually a very interesting AWE. AWE is it's a XR focused conference that happens in San Francisco every year, and sometimes in Europe. And it's more of like you know, like CES and these other events are like tech focused, but this is purely just XR technology. So, you know, it's a mixture of like business and just consumer stuff and just like exploring things. But we didn't get to go this year, which kind of sucks because it's the 1 year before Apple enters, so it might be very different next year. But I was like thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, like a good portal event for an XR con would be amazing.
Oh man, can you imagine?
Right, it's very fitting.
That would be incredible.
People walk around with AR glasses to like be able to see other avatars walking through the same convention space or whatever. I mean, the technology isn't quite there yet, but it's really dope to think about.
One day.
The potential
Having
is
that
exciting.
potential of real and VR being mixed sounds like an amazing way to have like a fun with people. Like again, like I'm getting the emotional whiplash from like it was called the Furality Gateway is what we do for when we go to furry conventions. Yes, we do that. Experiencing that for the first time in me, that was like emotional for me. That was really cool to see myself and then my friends who weren't able to make the convention still able to interact with them while I'm in real life. Having more of that cross between the real life and the VR side would be an incredible step forward towards building that community around XR, as you say.
Totally.
Right. Good Lord, I'm looking over at the Q&A channel, and it is going absolutely bonkers.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for.
You know what? Let's go ahead and dive on in. Demi, do you have a good one for us to kick off with?
Let me take a look. Okay, so how about this? A question for both. How did you get involved with Furality and the furry community, and how has that experience been so far?
You want to start? Oh, I can go. Yes.
Yeah.
So I was always aware of Furality, but not being a furry myself, it was never something that was on a high priority list of mine to attend, despite having quite a few furry friends who would always talk about how amazing it was and whatnot. But it really caught my attention whenever I realized that Furality really became the #1, like, biggest convention going on in VR chat. And it was like, wow, like, if you could pull in, like, over 10,000 people coming into a virtual space doing something, it's kind of like, okay, that's something that needs to be paid attention to. And so for me, I was like, okay, well, I want to go for myself and see what's really going on here. So for a video, I wanted to document it, put on my avatar that I had, some of my furry friends helped me get started with, and came through and just filmed the whole experience. And it was just absolutely mind-boggling, because a lot of the things that I wish more events were able to do, I realized that the furry community are some of the only ones to really have the drive and push a lot of the technologies. And it really shows the enthusiasm for VR. And what I've realized is that VR is a really sacred thing for the furry community, because expressing yourself as your persona or the characters that you want to be, it's nearly impossible to do in physical reality unless you spend thousands upon thousands of dollars in a fursuit, and even then it's hot, it's uncomfortable, it's hard to move around in, and VR gives you this perfect place to express yourself. And it's just so fascinating to me how much effort the furry community is willing to put in on even the most smallest details of things. And so that's how I became interested in why I'm here now.
Yeah, so I think that the first mention of Furality was whenever I was actually in Neos. I did like a giant deep dive where I was spending, I spent like a couple months pretty much dailying Neos just to like learn about what the whole platform was. Obviously a large furry community in Neos, so there was a Furality going on at the time, I think, while I was doing this, and everybody was talking about it because, obviously not everybody stays in just one platform. And that inspired me to go check it out. I actually missed that one, but it was Luma that, during your video, that I was able to check out. And, I hadn't really done too much intense research. I just knew that it was a large event. But then whenever I checked out the Worlds, I was absolutely blown away. And like I really love going into all these different parts of the VR community, whether that's certain games or whatever. Like I love the music community, I love the game community and like the sim community, and it was the first time, like, okay, a lot of music events in VR feel like a different kind of event than a music event, like in person. Simming is something that's totally different and weird, but it really had this con atmosphere that can only be represented as con. It really felt like I was at this event that was bringing so many people together. There's like this energy that you can't really explain, you just feel. And beyond that, just the amazing work of everybody that's building all these worlds, like it's just incredible. I think I'm sometimes a bit jealous that I'm not a furry because the furry community is like insane at how far they push the boundaries, and if they want something to get done, they're just going to build it. And I really love that energy.
we're going to get you something.
We're working on that.
So that was pretty much the basis. Is that I've always been aware of it. I've always really respected the community. And then, of course, Luma, I was able to check it out firsthand, and I was just blown away.
Yeah.
And I was so elated that I got to like tour you guys around the other worlds, like from past events, especially Aqua. I just remember like the moment that y'all like walked through after like the music cue hit, and it was just like, just like a gate opened up, and it's like, I saw your stream output too. It's like, no, you gotta see this. And like you walked through, and people were like, how?
Yes.
Right. No, for sure. Well, especially whenever people have absolutely no clue, because, as large as Furality is, still a lot of people just, they stay in their own bubble, in their own social bubble.
Or
they have some Yeah, or they have some other preconceived notions that blocks them from being able to enjoy things.
Yeah.
And so I went and showed it was Aqua, right? I went and showed that on stream, and everyone in chat was just like, "What? Like, this is otherworldly. This isn't even VR chat anymore. This is like VR chat 2." Like
VR chat too. Yes.
You know, these standards of our creative and DevOps teams are next level for us, and we always want to put on the best experience possible for our attendees, and creating those unique experiences to build our world of Furality around us is why we're so inspired to keep doing this and get people connected with each other through that. I remember going to Aquarium the first time. That world was wild.
Wild, absolutely wild world.
Let's see here. What kind of good? Because a bunch of these questions we like inadvertently answered just in the opening too, which is like it's like no.
Keep asking questions, please. We want to get everything as possible.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to dive deeper into any of them as well.
Wait, can I ask the first question that just got responded? Okay, hold on. Okay, this is from Patrol, our front-end developer. Thrill, if you had a persona, what animal? We're putting you on the spot.
Oh, if I had a persona, what animal? Okay, so I've always thought of myself as somewhat of like maybe like a tiger. I don't know. But I also really love like lion manes. You know what I mean? Like I really love lion manes. They're really cool. I think if you asked like 13-year-old me, I'd probably say wolf. But
That's all of us at 13.
but yeah, probably some sort of maney lion animal. Yeah.
I mean, why not combine the two? Like the literal limit is your imagination.
A liger.
Yeah, totally, exactly.
Your persona is the liger.
I could be a liger. There we go. That's my official answer.
Oh.
My persona is probably closest to a liger.
That is so funny.
Speaking of actual music stuff, like in the lobby, like the music that actually plays in like the opening crawl, that's actually orchestrated. PHIA, our creative director, actually put together like some mock-ups and like an entire sheet music thing, and a couple of the staff actually played the music and recorded it ourselves, and that's what plays in the world.
That's incredible.
Again, it's just the attention to detail, not letting those little things go that most people would just be like, oh, we'll just put something together in a DAW and call it a day.
Yeah,
but that's so much extra effort.
Totally, yeah, and I'm also like really shocked because there's some incredible like game design elements that obviously go into making these worlds. Not only are they very beautiful and functional, but they're also optimized as well. It's also pretty inspiring going to places like this because it really shows you that like if you want to go make something, like the only thing that's stopping you is yourself. Because you could really make anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
And these worlds, like from the ground up, instead of like building something massive and then like dialing back, these have all been built from the ground up with the Quest platform in mind, and then we're like, okay, what's the extras that could be seen by other users using more powerful headsets? So like everything from the ground level up is Quest compatible.
Definitely, yeah. It's a great optimization mindset.
Yeah.
It's helped us quite a bit.
Also, I can imagine too, optimizing for something like Quest is really probably makes something like Furality extremely accessible because it costs less than a con ticket to buy a Quest and access to Furality.
Oh yeah,
That's so true.
Cons are so expensive.
There's no hotel, there's no plane tickets, you don't have to worry about what you're gonna wear. It's
right.
Well,
even like right now,
go out.
I have a respiratory infection and a sinus infection. Sorry if I sound a little funny, but like going to any public event is off limits for me right now. But I'm able to go do con,
Exactly.
Woo! VR.
Oh, also, somebody actually pinged me. Was like, not to mention that the high-use viola is actually 3D printed. That is, I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Ooh.
Gotta hand over the STL.
Oh, you know what? Here's Oh, here's a good one. Ooh, this one's gonna be a really good one. Question for both. What are some of your favorite VR chat experiences you've had? Worlds, events, stuff like that. And to give Thrill just a moment to like rest your voice a little bit.
Yeah, I can. I can go. Wow,
Thank you.
I've done so many different VR things. Obviously, with the nature of my content, it's kind of my job to go and explore different things in VR. Honestly, that's pretty endless. There's only so much I can do. One thing I have been attending lately is the New Eden Evergarden events. The New Eden gang, they are so amazing and really trailblazing. Something special that I think is not getting quite enough attention. Their whole gig that they've got going on is that they have this made-up fantasy world that they're converting into a whole VR lore experience where the different worlds represent different things, and they make avatars that they sell, and the avatars are different characters. And then they've been hosting these events where they have these amazing dancer performers with some of the most well thought out avatars that have all of these crazy effects with live lighting and live effects, and everybody's watching. And so as of lately, that's been one of my favorite things to go to. I think it's a really special place. Another thing that I really enjoy, and this is kind of like a very personal thing, is one of the reasons I love VR is because I can explore things that are special to me or that I loved growing up. The most prominent one being Zelda. As soon as I found out that you can go to Zelda worlds in VR chat, I was like, I need to buy a headset. Okay, I get it. I need to buy a headset so I can go. And right now, a friend of mine, Nisha Wolf, they are working on this Majora's Mask world that's going to be fully playable, and there's already a bunch of these game mechanics. Yes. And obviously it's still a work in progress, and there needs to be some VR chat updates and whatnot to have the save states and all of that. But to me, on a personal level, that has also been one of the most amazing things, is watching something that I love so dearly come to life in a way that I can actually interact with and explore. And seeing something like that develop as a passion project is also really special. So those are two things off the top of my head that are really been just a highlight. So, Thrill, if you want to mention.
Yeah, so it eventually turned into all of the club events that happen now, but I'd say like one of my absolute favorite things to do, especially early on, were all of the insane music visualizer and animation worlds, which aren't so much. I haven't really seen all too many pop up very recently in terms of like how they were, maybe in like 2019 or 2020 or so. But those, like Guile's animation world, for example, at the time just absolutely shook me, because that's a way that you can experience music, or you can't experience music in that way in any other medium or platform or like anything like that. It is an experience that you could only have there. And really all the animation worlds I really love, and they have a really close place in my heart. But that evolved into the music and club scene, and especially because I've recommended to a lot of like my audience, whether that be through videos or just through community events or like having my own club. A lot of people just aren't into like the rave scene, for example, but it's so different from like a rave scene in person, to where it's really just about like, so many of these places are like Furality, just these beautiful venues that come out of people's imaginations that people have built, and they are there to go share the music that they love, and enjoy it with people that also just want to enjoy the music. And it's like this machine that just builds itself up, where you have people that want to share music and you have people that want to enjoy enjoy music, and it's like it creates energy out of nowhere. It's really cool. And I think the other thing that I really enjoyed in the past year or so was actually going to a TVR studio event and watching a film festival. And this isn't just but like that was one thing that I've been to one small film festival before, but it was very uppity. Like it was very like, everybody had their noses up a little bit. And going to this this movie festival where just people show or shared their in VR chat created films. Just being there, experiencing it for the first time with everybody, and seeing people's reactions, and seeing the snowflakes and the whatever in this grand in this grand movie theater while I'm in the comfort of my home in a beanbag was amazing.
Heck, like even trailing off of the film festival thing, we have a community showcase that we do here. That the last one that we did was like a bunch of music videos, just amazing content. People put like their heart and soul into this stuff. And that was just a little while ago, and then we showed it off yesterday, and it's just the talent and just this galactic leap in what people have accomplished is mind-blowing.
Totally.
And there's even been a couple of musical experiences I've done. One of them was one of the Gumball Worlds. I hope I'm not getting the name wrong. Where like, it was like the second world that they did, where it starts out as like a huge puzzle where you go to different places, you solve puzzles, and then it rewards you with this huge musical experience. Like, you could see it on desktop, sure, but it's never the same thing. Like, seeing the entire vista, like, passing by you as it, like, plays out these lights and sounds is just unbelievably just immersive and just inspiring.
It is very inspiring. So that world is created by Screaming Color, who's actually a friend of mine. I am so heavily inspired by that world in particular. The colors, the shader effects, the fact that it's all compatible on Quest, it's all very thoughtful. They actually made a part of the TVR Studio world that a lot of people don't realize that there's like a whole secret area that you can go to, where we have this magical immersion geodome, where you can teleport to different places and, inside the dome. And the fourth one is this crazy animation that people can interact with that's supposed to capture those exact feelings that I commissioned him to make, because holy cow, there's something so special about VR that can only be captured with that grandness and awe and color and sound coming all together. So I get what you're saying about how freaking cool that is. I think everybody should go experience one of those.
And somebody actually mentioned it, Gumball Lounge. That was it. It was the second
there
one.
You go.
Yeah.
Right,
Actually,
Demi,
give you another rest thrill. This is a fun question for you, Thea. This is from Wishy Washy. Thea mentioned being impressed with the idea of the immersion spray, which, by the way, I loved your analysis of in your video.
Yeah.
What sense would you have for an immersion spray for the TVRS studio?
Hey, I am so glad that somebody asked that, because I got so inspired by the immersion spray idea. I was like, oh man, I want something like that so bad. The TVR studio is broken up into a few different areas, so it's hard to choose one scent to represent all of it. Ideally, I'd want like something for every single room. That's a little smelly at that point. But yeah, I would imagine trying to really captivate. I think there's a certain smell when you go to different places, like when you're traveling and you go to like this big building. Let's say you like travel to like New York City or California, and you go into a event, and the building has this very particular smell that's maybe not quite like any other smells that you get when you're not in this place filled with people and, fresh paint, and it's really hard to describe what that is, but I would love to make a smell that isn't super, flowery. It doesn't smell like popcorn when you're in the theater, but having a smell that really gives you a sense of like, oh, I am in a studio. I am in a place where people are gathering all together, and I don't know. I mean, it's hard to just like, I don't know what I put into it to make that, but that's like the effect I would really want to capture.
I can definitely smell what you're saying at the very least.
Yes, I think you understand.
I think I understand. Like that idea of like, oh, there's a large space, so it's like there's a lot of scents in the air. There's probably like an air ventilation something going on. I don't know. It sounds really
Think
cool.
of like brass and granite. Like, which it's funny because
you know more about me.
Neither one of those have like a crazy smell to it. But like, yeah, brass and granite.
For me, like every studio that I've worked in, like the only thing that I can think of is like old leather chair, really good coffee, and a couple of sandwiches. Like that's the smell that feels
Yeah, being like in a theater and you can smell the smell of like people's snacks and maybe like kind of the staleness because it's all old wood, and it's a very indescribable but pleasant pleasant smell.
I got one other question here. Like, there's a bunch of people that have actually been asking this one, especially since we're working close on time. For any up-and-coming VR content creators, or really creators in general, what would be your advice to them for getting started?
Girl, you start with that one.
Yeah. So I think that my ideas about giving advice for people that are starting has definitely shifted over the past few years. Like, as with anything, especially on like YouTube, like things just change, right? It's like, I think that 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I would say like start and then don't stop and then be as consistent as possible, and then eventually something will happen, which that might have been true then, but I think that now, especially because VR is just like it's in an interesting spot. We're not in the middle of a giant pandemic, and VR isn't, which who knows, maybe tomorrow will change that. Tomorrow's the Apple event. But just VR's in a little bit of a different spot in people's minds. I think that the mysticism of it has kind of escaped and left a lot of the general public. And so now the biggest thing that I'd recommend is to find something that makes your viewpoint and your input different, and be original, and don't so much worry about saying super crazy on a schedule where you're uploading 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week, or even twice a month.
Guilty.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely guilty of that. I've definitely destroyed myself a little bit by trying to hold those things. And I think that really the number one thing is to just don't take someone's content and just copy it and expect that it's going to do well because theirs did well. Because that's not how YouTube works. You're usually going to get like 10% at your max of what that person was doing. Usually, it's all about just really being genuine and making something that's new and that's out of your own imagination. And I can't even tell you what that is because only you can do it. And that's kind of what's special. Think about what only can you make, and then go make it. And of course, like, there's a big part of YouTube and content creation is iteration, where it's like, okay, maybe this idea didn't work, but you learned everything that didn't work and a couple things that did work, and you can iterate on that. And that's like the most important thing is to find something that you really are passionate about enough that you can make videos endlessly on if you wanted to. And then keep iterating on that to find your audience, because it's a mixture of you trying to find your audience and your audience trying to find you, but they don't even know that you exist yet. So, yeah.
So I have maybe 2 answers to this about if you want to be an upcoming content creator, specifically in VR. So there's. I think the biggest thing that I would mention is intention. I think we live in a funny day and age to where being a YouTuber is every kid's dream job. It's this weirdly glorified thing where everybody wants to be a content creator. But unfortunately, it really isn't as glamorous and luxurious as it looks from the outside. It requires a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, a lot of brain chemicals that are gonna make you uncomfortable at certain points. But if you really, really, really care about something, then it makes it worth it, and that's what shows to people. And so when I say intention, I think what I mean is, do you have something that you're really passionate about? Do you have something about VR that nobody's talking about and you care so much about it? Do you have something that you want to make and, well, why hasn't anybody made this yet? And it's something that you want to share, a story, a creation, whatever that is. If you really care about sharing something that's uniquely you, and that hasn't been done before, then people are really going to be drawn to that. If you're going in with the intention of like, oh, you know, there's no VR content creators out there right now, so I'm just going to try and take advantage of it so that I can have as many viewers or followers as possible, that only gets you so far. But if you have the intention of doing something really special, people will be drawn to that no matter what. People are going to see that authenticity and support you. I really believe that. The second thing that I see a lot of people mess up on is the unwillingness to put things out unless it's perfect. I see that so much. People go and make something, and then they look at it and they're embarrassed of it, or they don't think it's good enough, or they don't want to show it, and so they keep it to themselves, or maybe they put out a few things and become self-conscious, and then they don't continue, or they don't get the reaction that they wanted out of people, and maybe, you know, you get like 100 views, and you're like, oh, why don't I have 1,000 by now? And people get defeated. But the biggest thing about being a successful content creator is the willingness to say, like, hey, this isn't perfect, but this is me. And putting that out there. And again, I think people are really drawn to that. It doesn't have to be very good. My first videos sucked, actually, production-wise. But people liked what I had to say. And they'll like what you have to say, too, if you, I don't know, if you have something that's additive that hasn't been done before. That's my thoughts.
Just
Yeah,
the Dexter's
caring about
Lab,
it.
like, I should have been famous 5 minutes ago right now.
Yeah.
You know, like, I made, like, Minecraft survival games videos when I was a kid, and I was enjoying it.
Hey, if it's fun, that's what matters.
Yeah. A 15-year-old me would be proud of who I am today, so there you go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we have time for one more question. So
All right,
we talked a lot about.
throw ahead one to add, but like the desync and like network caught us.
Oh no, I'm all good.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just gonna further iterate on Fia's point that like really just finding that thing that you're passionate about and then iterating it to not make it perfect but to make it good enough is always going to be good enough.
Yes.
We literally had a phrase in the shop that I worked that good enough for government work, and then we actually had a government contractor come through and was like, yeah, it's good enough for government work. I was like, I thought that was a meme. I was like, no. If it's functional, it's good enough.
Yeah. Okay, I guess we will finish off with one more question. Let's go with, okay, we've talked about a lot of hardware things, talked about a lot of VR chat things. Let's bring it back to furries, I guess. So this is a question from Woof Woof. As you know, it's a very fitting name. As non-furries, what have you found interesting and or unique among the furry community?
Which this isn't something that's like massively unknown, but especially if I came from a section of the internet before VR chat and stuff like that where it's like you know, furries are almost thought of like as like being like, you know, you like think of someone as their persona, not as so much as like, you know, Shadow X demon whatever, and that's a person. You know, it's like it's like a different subsect of like people, and really my like furries are just people. Like not just that, but like furries are just normal, just like everybody else, who's got something cool that they have in common with each other. And I wish that more people like understood that. I still get comments in my YouTube all the time of people being like, are you a furry? I was like, what does it even matter if I was? What does it matter? Like, what does it matter? Like, there's no difference if I was or I wasn't. Like, and I don't think that a lot of people have that in mind. They like to. There's the cat talking. But yeah, I don't think that they have that same idea that it's just there's nothing crazy about it. It's just a bunch of people that have one thing in common.
Yeah, I hear Kiko or a cat. I hear him meowing so hard at you.
Kiko.
Right
Here,
now. He's like, I want to go to
let him in.
Furality.
He's like, there you go.
He's like, meow, let me in.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I can definitely reiterate on that same point, is that from the outside, people really hate furries, and it's really it's really crazy to be immersed in a place like VR chat, where it's way more accepted. I think people are a lot more just like, oh yeah, that's a furry. It's just VR chat, like that's what we're used to. But I think what people fail to recognize is how much of an art the furry fandom is it's not just like, oh, I want to be animal, look at me, meow meow, where it's more like, no, this is self-expression that people are participating in, just like how some people are into different types of fashion, or they have a certain franchise that they're super fans of, or whatnot. I think the furry community really cares a lot about their fandom and about the art of what it is. They enjoy creating furry art and, in VR, creating furry avatars and worlds and places to really express this sense of imagination that I think is lacking in a lot of other people in humanity as a whole. I think one of the things I've really always valued is imagination and having that sense of being able to create something in your mind and explore that. I see imagination as something that's just as valid as the physical world. It's still a place. It's just a place in your mind. And that's what really inspires me about furries, is that regardless of what anybody says from the outside, furries are a group of people who know how to take parts of their brain and take concepts and ideas that don't exist and then bring them into, quote, reality, and especially virtual reality. And so that's the thing that fascinates me more than anything, that passion and creativity. So.
Right. Well, and VR chat has a stigma. It's I'm sure you've seen it in your comments. I'm sure that you've seen it just on the internet in general, especially with other parts of the VR community that aren't VR chat. But VR chat has the stigma of being full of anime people, memes, and furries. And one thing that I've realized is that is one hell of a combination. You put us all together and something crazy happens.
We're mixing the weirdest people on the planet, and we embrace it.
It's like it's these three things. Where's the downside? We get to have fun, we get to have art, and we get to have cool TV shows. Like, why is this a complaint?
Totally.
All right. Was that waving us that we're about at time? It was an
you two were
agreement.
amazing moderators, by the way.
Yes,
thank you so
guys
much
are both
for having
very,
us,
very
by the way.
sweet.
Of course.
This is wonderful.
Yeah, it went
And,
super smooth and great questions. Thank you for asking questions, by the way.
Yeah, thanks everybody that
Yeah,
asked questions.
thank you everybody out there in the Discord channel and everywhere. Just tossing your questions out, getting a couple of answers that you wanted. And yeah, just we get to literally create our own reality in like this entire space, and I really cannot wait to see like where both of y'all go from here, where we as a whole go from here. The Furality, everybody out there, everybody in here. I cannot wait to see the future of what we can create together. I'm very, very excited for what we can have.
Totally.
It's an honor. It's an honor to be here, honestly. I'm really thankful that you guys allowed us the time to come speak to everyone and share some of our thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, totally. I've been very
Absolutely.
touched by the furry community, so it means a lot.
And whether we get to have you come out and play with us again on the next one or not, I cannot wait to see what y'all cook up on both of y'all's channels and on live streams and everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Definitely.
For the time being, I believe we are at time, so everyone, please join me in thanking Thrill and Fia for both coming out to visit with us today. And stick around, we have a whole lot more cool stuff in our programming. We got Who's Line coming up a little bit later on today. We got more music than you can shake a stick at. It's going to be a great afternoon. Everybody, it's the last day, so let's make it an absolutely fantastic one.
Yeah, kill it, guys.
Heck
Go
yeah.
have fun. Thank you.
Wi-Fi.
Catch y'all later.
I was gonna ask, do you know where you got this avatar?